All right, sitting here with the Yankee game on. I got Tampa Bay and Chicago in the golf. Luke's locked didn't didn't fare so well. He was slapping the golf ball around with either a Sherwood or a Titan yesterday. He fell out of contention pretty quick. So Luke's lock of the week. We won week one, week two and three not so much. But anyways, Luke, we'll get back to you on Tuesday and get back on the horse a little bit and see where we can go. Yankees are up 4-0 due to Gardy goes Yardy. It's a Gardy party. Brett Gardner hit a grand slam in the I don't know, second inning. I think it was second or third inning. But great to have sports on full time. Pandemic's over, COVID's over. I just announced it here in the 1420 podcast. You guys heard it here first. Anyways, the sports card craze, it's massive. It's crazy massive. The amount of money that's getting spent on a daily basis, it's absolutely insane. It was talk with a buddy of mine, Moose, Mike Hildebrand there. He's an avid collector. Notice I didn't say investor. He's a collector, not an investor, and he does make a few bucks here and there on it. And he's a collector. He likes his stuff. We talked about this yesterday. It's crazy what the pandemic did. Guys with money sitting at home, easy way to trade things, to buy things, and it drove up the price of sports cards. This isn't your mom and pop operation where you would go down to the corner store with a buck, get 5 packs of cards or 2 packs of cards or whatever they were back in the day, and have a stale piece of pink bubble gum in there. This is huge business. Millions and millions of dollars are getting made on this, and a Tom Brady card, rookie card, just went for what was it, $1.32 million, I think, on Friday. Gretzky rookie card went for 1.29 million or something the other day. It's amazing. There's a Mickey Mantle rookie card out there. It went for $5 million bucks, I think it was. This is big business, and I don't quite understand it. Yeah, I have some stuff, it's collectibles and stuff that I like to have, but the way that this stuff is trading now there's virtual cards that you don't even have your fingers on that are selling for big money, and they're so you can't even put your hands on it. Like, at least my crop, I can put my fingers on it. I don't touch it. Like, no one touches my stuff. But if I wanted to, I could. If I wanted to put on that Jeter jersey, I could. It's absolute insanity what goes on with this, and you just wonder, like, when does it stop? To have a partial jersey that's in a card, and they cut up jerseys and they put it in a card. I personally don't understand. To me, an entire jersey would be worth more, excuse me, than a swatch of a jersey put into a card that gets shipped in a case. It doesn't make a whole bunch of sense. And the digital card, I really don't understand that. It's something on the internet. You click on your mouse, or you bring up your phone. Hey, here's my card. Well, it's a picture. I mean, that's what all cards are. They're just pictures. But it's absolute insanity to me. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, the thing about cards as a kid, like, and my brother, he can vouch for this. And Luke, we talked about this. Luke Davis, he brought in a group chat a few weeks back. He brought up some old cards. He had opened up some packs, and the cards that he had were that was something like you'd open up the pack and you would collect them, and you try to get the whole set, and the sticker books. Remember those back in the day? You would try to fill up the sticker books, and then your extras, you have another book. But it was great. It was great. You physically had something. You're striving to collect things. Now the guys are just buying things. And another thing that Moose was telling me yesterday is guys are buying like stocks. They're buying partial ownership of cards. Like, if you have 2% of a Babe Ruth card that's in a safe somewhere, what's the point of that? I'm sure it's an investment, I guess, but it doesn't make. I don't know. To me, it seems a bit ridiculous to have partial ownership in a baseball card. It's kind of goofy to me. I just think it's really quite strange. Like, my brother, get back to that, man, I get sidetracked easy on a Sunday afternoon. Maybe a couple of pints too many already, who knows? But the Todd Van Poppel card, you got that because he went to the Oakland A's, and that was something you had those. I think we talked about in the podcast in the past that you go and get the the day that Daig was signed, we went down to the local card shop in Fort McLeod, and we got an Alexander, or when he got drafted, we went and bought a few Alexander Daig cards. They aren't worth the paper they're printed on now. Daig, what a bust that guy was, but that was, but it was part of it. It was part of the thing. It was the enjoyment of it. Now the guys are just buying these cards, and investors and collectors are two different things. Investors, like, everybody tries to find a way to make money. That's part of the game. I get it. But to basically ruin the industry for the average Joe who could maybe was saving up to get a car, but now these things are going so far out of reality. Like last summer, I just put online a few things just to I wasn't going to sell anything. I mean, this stuff, I'll die with it or whatever, burn in a house fire or whatever. But just put some stuff online just to see what the price, what I could get for it, what it was worth. And some guy from New York, he starts, you'll never get that for, okay. If you don't think it's worth that much, then don't buy it. Like, I wasn't selling. I was just kind of curious to see what things were worth to other people. So what I bought it for and everything else. And guy was giving me grief. You'll never get it for that. Okay. So I learned very quickly, things are only worth what someone else will pay for it. Yeah, I might have paid this, and I might think it's worth this, but it's only worth what someone else will pay for it. Does that make any sense? I went on a little tangent there, but it's crazy that the sports card industry, everybody collects different things. Some people collect comic books, stamps, this and that and the other. But the way that the sport card industry is just taken off, and the partial ownership, it doesn't make sense. And the virtual card thing, I want to do a little more research on this. That's one thing I don't understand. The NBA Top Shot, these things are going for huge dollars. It's kind of like compared to Bitcoin. No one really knows how it works. It's worth something, but you don't really have anything. It's comparable to that. It was how I've read up on it a little bit so far. It's huge business, and it's only worth what someone will pay for, like I just said. But I think it's kind of taken the romanticism out of it a little bit, because card collecting was a lot of fun when I was a kid, and I still got boxes over here. I should maybe crack open a case of O-Peaches and see what ones we got in there. The thing about baseball cards now, compared to that do make them unique and worth a bit more, I guess, is that back when I was a kid, and not even a kid, at 17, 18 years old and even younger, they flooded the market with so many cards. Now these cards are so unique because they do have a piece of the jersey in it. Or they do have the NHL emblem on them, or the MLB emblem on them. And what hand does that guy bat, right or left, the MLB guy? We still don't know. Anyways, so that's what makes these cards unique and worth so much money, I guess. But it takes the fun out of collecting cards, I think. If you have those things, great. Like, and you look at them, and I think it's a great hobby. Like I said in a podcast way back when, buying stuff and collecting things, it's a great thing to get into. It's just insanity to me that how much money these things are worth. It's taking the collector out of it and has investors more in it. And most times when investors get involved in stuff, it kind of ruins it a little bit. That's my thought. Anyways, Yankee game's almost over. I got my 2017. Every year I go down to the Bronx, I get a new hat. This is my 2017 hat. Still one of my favorite teams of the recent past. Yankees are winning World Series, or the Spring Training World Series. Getting really ahead of myself. Spring training's in full force now. Everything's going great. The sun's shining. Baseball season is going. Hockey's going. Golf's on. Golf course open up around Southern Alberta this weekend to go and hit it around and swear a little bit. So things are going. I don't know if anybody saw so far. The producer came up with some four new T-shirt designs. We 3/4 inch or 3/4 length T-shirts. Have a look at them. Order one. I think they look great. She really went above and beyond the Call of Duty on these ones, and she's pretty proud of them. Got some pretty good response from them so far. Get a T-shirt. We still have hats for sale. Anything else, we're like I said, we don't make any money out, but it's a good way to promote the show. We're approaching the let's do the quick calculation here. We're approaching the 5,600 mark. So just since yesterday, we've had 100 more people download and listen to the show, which is quite fantastic. I really enjoy the banter I have with the listeners to the show. We have a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things in common. have some things planned for the future, but make sure you listen on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio. We're pretty much everywhere you could possibly listen to your podcast. Talk to other people about the show and give us some feedback, what you want to hear on the show, and some ideas for things to do in the future once this whole pandemic is all said and done. So Bartman and Buckner, two guys whose names are forever etched in baseball history that really shouldn't be. I know that they were part of the whole situation, but the way the things played out in each situation, they shouldn't be part of the conversation. And let me explain why. We'll start with the Bill Buckner situation. Buckner gets a bad rap for what happened to those no good, rotten Red Sox in '86. The Mets, we all seen what happened with the ball going through Buckner's legs after Mookie Wilson hit a drubber down the first baseline, and Buckner should have got it. Didn't. And the rest is history in the average person's eye. But what really occurred that night in October of '86? The Red Sox were up 3-2 in that series. They led in the eighth inning. The Mets tied it up in the eighth. Kelvin Schiraldi was on the hill. Forgive me if I'm looking at my notes, but I remember it vividly, actually. That's when I first started falling in love with baseball back then. It's right about that age where things started to make a lot of sense, and then you got into '88 with the Dodgers and everything else. But I remember this vividly, that, man, they're blowing this. They're blowing it like only the Leafs could. But it's the Red Sox, so they the curse of the Bambino the whole bit. But Schiraldi was out there. No one scored in the ninth after the Mets tied it up in the eighth. The Red Sox took the lead 5-3. For some reason, John McNamara put Schiraldi back out for something that would never happen nowadays. Put him out for his third inning of relief. That would never happen nowadays. 2 tops you're getting out of your relievers. Unless you're Mariano and you just go on forever. But they got the first 2 outs in the 10th. Kept him in. 3 base hits later. All of a sudden, the game's tied. No, sorry, the game. It's a 1-run ball game. Schiraldi McNamara finally takes Schiraldi out. Can't remember who we put in. First pitch, wild pitch. Another run scores to tie it up. Then the Mookie hit happened. The rest is history. Why does Bob Stanley was the pitcher? I just remembered that for some reason. Bob Stanley. Why doesn't anybody talk about the pitching in that inning? It's all about Buckner. Yeah, it was a slow roller. He should have got it. Secondly, why was Buckner, his health was ailing, his knees are pretty bad, why was he in the game at that point when you got a 5-3 lead, bottom of the inning, get your best defensive players out there? Why was he in the game? Why was Buckner playing first base? If he can't bend over, why is he in the game at that point? Why does nobody ever talk about the pitching or the manager leaving Schiraldi in there for his third inning of work? Why? It's people always talk. It's talked about more. You fast forward, 17 years. People persecute and annihilate Grady Little for leaving Pedro Martinez in there in the now infamous Brett Boone game, the home run. If Martinez isn't in that game, Pedro doesn't hit that, not Pedro, Jorge Posada doesn't hit that little blooper off of Pedro, scored 2 runs, tied the game, the rest is literally history. Then Boone comes up. Boone's not the manager of the Yankees right now, the way it all worked out. That's fact. Why does no one talk about McNamara leaving in Kelvin Schiraldi for his third inning of work? Makes no sense to me that would happen. The wild pitch, all of it, and then to lose Game 7. So they still had Game 7 to try to win. So it's not. Why is it all on Buckner? It's always on Buckner. Why is that? Yeah, he should have made the play. He's a major leaguer. A 12-year-old makes that play 9 times out of 100, the way that ball was hit. But the stuff leading up to that could have ended the game quite easily. It's a great moment in baseball history, but it is blamed on the wrong guy. Buckner is not to blame for this. It was just the cherry on top of it. It's just a comedy of errors that just kept happening throughout that inning. 3 base hits in a row. Like you think, okay, maybe after 2, this guy's been in for 3 innings, maybe we should yank him now. And then the wild pitch that no one ever talks about. Years ago, me and my brother, we were driving somewhere. I can't remember where it was, but we were sitting listening to the Major League Baseball Network on Sirius XM. They were playing an old baseball game. It was July. I think we were in Bonnieville, working up there. And we were just about to get out of the vehicle to go into the hotel or the restaurant or where we were going. And this game was, that 86 game was on MLB Classics. And I forgot all about the wild pitch. And that's the first time I thought, geez, nobody talks about that wild pitch, how that scored the run to tie the game, let alone Buckner sings. But no one talks about the pitching. Anyways, that's one thing I hope people take a look back and maybe don't blame things on Buckner. And the next one's even more bothersome. The Steve Bartman, poor guy. We talked about it on the podcast before, how he was blamed for the loss of the Cubs in 2003 versus the Miami Marlins, Florida Marlins, whatever they were called back then, Florida Marlins back then. I don't think Alou makes that catch. I personally don't. That's a tough play. Bartman wasn't the only guy reaching for it. The Billy Goat curse and all that stuff. And Bartman is hated. He's denounced his Cub fandom, apparently, all that. We all know the story about Bartman. But they had a 3-0 lead. It was a foul ball hit into the stands. Who makes that play? Probably nobody. Alou's wavered back and forth whether he thought he was going to make the catch or not. I don't think he would have. That's a tough play down the left field line there for anyone to make. Alou's little temper tantrum at the time, he may have had it. Who knows? Who knows? He didn't make the catch. Whatever. They gave up. 7 runs. 8 runs. Sorry, 8 runs later on. They got blown out after that. People forget that Alex Gonzalez had a ground ball to shortstop. Might not have been double play. Would have been a tight play at first base, but he had a ground ball to him, your shortstop, in the major leagues, and he booted it. That would have got them out of the inning, and then they win the game. Nobody is persecuting the player for that. Nobody is saying Gonzalez makes that play, they're out of the inning. It's all about Bartman and his little green turtleneck and his headphones and everything else. People persecute Bartman. Gonzalez, a major league player, booted what should have been a routine double play ball to get them out of the inning and move them on to the World Series the first time since whatever year it was, 1917 or 08 or whatever it was. And they finally got that record in 2015, I guess, or 16, whatever they won the World Series. But my God, do people need to get a grip on things and see what really actually happened there. The things that lead up to disasters, it's a player's fault. The thing about the Bartman thing and the Alou, neither of them got the ball. So that's kind of a funny little side story. I wonder where that ball, who ended up getting that ball and where it is now. And somebody, actually now they think about it, I think they blew it up or they found somebody, whoever had the ball. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, people forget about that. The 7 of the 8 runs scored after that error. It's Gonzalez's fault, not Bartman. Let's make that very clear. It was not Bartman's fault that the Cubs lost that game. And once again, there was a game 7 where they could have redeemed themselves. Very simply. The Cubs lost that series not Bartman. I can't make that any more clear. And anybody who wants to disagree with me, get back to me on the 1420 hotline, social media, email me at 1420sports@gmail.com, because it was the Cubs, not Bartman. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. That the Cubs lost that. Gonzalez lost that. And they had a game 7 to come back and win it. Another one we can talk about that happened that would have changed the course of history, maybe for Derek Jeter. 1996, if there was instant replay 96, the New York Yankees may not win the World Series, because how that call was blown, what the heck was his name? Tony Tarasco, playing for the Baltimore Orioles. He played that pretty nonchalantly, the way he was kind of standing at the fence. Probably makes the catch. Jeffrey Mayer reaches over. Richie Garcia, the outfield umpire, and that's his call. He blew it. Jeffrey Mayer reached over, made the catch. Should have been fan interference. Orioles are out of the inning. Home run doesn't happen. Not out of the inning, but the home run doesn't happen. Maybe the aura, the mystique of Derek Jeter, which was born that day, doesn't come to fruition. Who knows? But that's one that instant replay would have changed the course of history, and would have changed the way that played out. That was a blown call by Richie Garcia, and thank you very much as a Yankee fan in 1996 for blowing that call. You blew it. Richie, you blew that call, and how you did. You were very emphatic when you're pointing up at the. I remember you were pointing up and saying it was a home run, and Tony Tarasco was like, "Dude, I couldn't catch it." The fan reached out. Jeter would have been out for fan interference. Real simple. It was an out. It's a blown call. Course of history changed. Jeffrey Mayer, thank you very much. Another one that would have changed the course of history a little bit, and we talked about it in the past. Jim Joyce, if there was instant replay. Armando Galarraga, 2010 Detroit Tigers. Perfect game. Joyce blew the call. Simple call. Call the guy out. You get to go to the bar quicker. You get to have a beer in the locker room quicker. The guy was out at first base. Simple play. Why you decided to call the guy safe, that's grandstanding as an umpire. I hate that. Just make the call. Get out of the game, man. It's a nothing game, and I think it was August, between two teams going nowhere. Jimmy, you blew it. Armando Galarraga should have had the perfect game that night. The course of history would have been changed a little bit, and who knows where his career would have ended up. Little things that happen in a baseball game that can really change things really quick. It's an amazing game. Got a couple games on now. I got the Dodgers in Texas playing. I got UCLA, FUCLA, by the way, and the USC Trojans on the Pac-12 network playing right now. If you get a chance to watch this college baseball, it's fantastic. Grassroots, nobody in the stands, but it's great baseball nonetheless. Fun to watch. There's some baseball memories to get back on. Hopefully you guys agree with me on what I said, or get back to me if you don't. But that's how I feel about those two plays, especially the Bartman and Buckner plays. That's the way I see it. Don't blame them, Red Sox fans. Don't blame Bartman, Cubs fans, because you know what? The Cubs had a chance to get out of that inning after that, and they didn't. It's more on them than those two people. I really quite like doing the weekend edition of the 1420 Sports Podcast and doing the top 5 lists. Get a lot of feedback from listeners and people on social media and everything else. It's quite funny how people can have a different opinion on what should be on the top 5 of any stupid list that I come up with in my stupid head. But top 5 movies songs from the soundtrack songs of the 80s. I haven't been to a movie in I don't know how long. I think the last movie I saw was either The New Karate Kid with Will Smith's kid, or How to Train a Dragon, or something. That one, and it was. If you haven't seen that movie, it's quite disturbing actually. How to Train Your Dragon. The kid loses his leg. It's awful for a children's cartoon movie. I was quite devastated about the whole ordeal, but it kind of made me laugh. Like, holy cripes, things have come a long ways. And anyways, where I was going with this, I don't even know if there are movie soundtracks anymore. I'm sure there is. I couldn't name you 3 movies that would be coming out if we weren't in a pandemic. And that's another funny thing. I was talking about this yesterday. Everybody throws that word pandemic out like we know what we're talking about. It's been a year. No one used the word pandemic in my 46 years on this earth until last year. So went 45 years without the word pandemic being said. And now it's everywhere. Anyways, pandemic. It was epidemic, and I don't what. That doesn't matter. We're not talking about that. But soundtrack songs from the 80s, those were almost as big as the movies, or bigger than the movies themselves. The way that they came out, sold records, sold the singles, the whole shebang. They were there in the MTV, and the videos had the movies tied into them, and it was always great. And I hope that they still have those a little bit. I don't know. I listen to the same 15, 20 songs, like I said the other night, all the time, and I just hope that there is soundtracks, and because they were great, and a lot of them were big hits, like huge hits. Do my top 5. One that doesn't get nearly enough love, I think, number 5 in my book, from the National Lampoon's Vacation movies, Lindsey Buckingham, Holiday Road. You can't help but sing along to that song when it's on. It's a great little tune. Lindsey Buckingham, what he saw in Stevie Nicks, we're not getting into that because Stevie Nicks, whatever. But Lindsey Buckingham, Holiday Road, for me, that's number 5 on the list. Number 4, from the Pretty in Pink soundtrack, I believe, If You Leave by OMD. Just a great tune. They had one other song, I can't remember. Dreamin', I Was Only Dreaming, but OMD, If You Leave. Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark. Great song. I listen to it, turn it up a little bit when it's on, and I enjoy that song thoroughly. Been a staple in my playlist for a long time. It plays on every oldie station now, and everywhere you listen to the radio, it's on, and it could probably make a comeback as a great pop song. Number 3 from the Breakfast Club soundtrack, Don't You Forget About Me, Simple Minds, staple. Just a great song. People know it. People know the movie. Everybody's seen it. Breakfast Club. It's a coming-of-age movie, I guess you could say, but that's a great tune. Go Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me at number 3. Now she gets tough, because this man had so many sound, like, he's just the soundtrack guy. I think you guys who know what I'm going to talk about here. Kenny Loggins. He had so many soundtrack songs back in the 80s. Have a list going here. Footloose, Playing with the Boys, Danger Zone, Nobody's Fool, I'm All Right, I'm Free. All of them. So for number 2, I'm just going to put Kenny Loggins in general. Number 2 is just Kenny Loggins' top soundtrack songs. So they're all really good tunes. There's some that are better than others, but I'm just going to put for the top 80 soundtrack songs of the top 5 80 soundtrack songs. Kenny Loggins just gets number 2. Pick and choose which one you want in there. And the only reason why he doesn't get number 1 standing is because my man Huey Lewis in the News with Power of Love from the Back to the Future soundtrack. That is the best Huey Lewis song. Not my favorite, but it's their best one. My favorite song by Huey Lewis is If This Is It. Just a favorite of mine. But top soundtrack song of the 1980s is by far probably one of the best movies from the 80s as well. Power of Love, Huey Lewis and the News. It's a classic. Whenever it's on, people tap their toe to it, sing along, turn it up. It's a great tune. John Mayer said it best years ago in, I think it was a Rolling Stone interview. He wanted to be like Huey Lewis because nobody ever turns down a Huey Lewis song. And that's the truth. Nobody ever turns down or changes the station when a Huey Lewis song is on. Anyways, that's about it for today for the 1420 Sports Podcast. Always a pleasure putting these on for you guys. Like I said earlier on, got new t-shirt design coming out. Doing the pre-orders now. They're in fabrication as we speak. So kind of excited about those. They're great design. They're great. Producer did a great job on it. We still got a hat for sale and everything else. So just make sure you guys talk to everybody about the show, because we quite enjoy putting it on for you guys. When you listen on Apple Podcasts, give us a 4 or 5 star rating. It allows us to stay on Apple Podcasts. You got to keep the ratings up for them to use their platform. Everything's going fine. We're not leaving you anytime soon. And if you have any future or topics you guys like for us to talk about on future shows with Dave or without, or with just me, or maybe some guests or whatever, if you have some ideas that you want for us to bring up on the show, get back to on social media, 1420sports@gmail.com. We're more than happy to listen to all that stuff and reply. We get back to you really quick. I'm tattooed to my phone with this podcast. It's kind of overtaking my life, like I said, but pretty good topics today. Sports cards, the Sabres, what a mess that is. Leave Buckner alone, leave Bartman alone, and listen to those old tunes. They're great. I'm going to leave you on this note. Watching the Wayne Gretzky, Walter Gretzky funeral yesterday, and the Wayne Gretzky eulogy for his father, and he couldn't have said it any better. He wishes the world had more people like his dad. There's more people like his dad in the world, because the world would be a better place. I feel the same way about my dad. Miss him dearly, and yeah. But that's just a thought. But try to be a better person. Follow Walter Gretzky and Steve Radlinski did, because they were two outstanding human beings. But anyways, take care of each other, but more importantly, take care of yourself. We need you around. I got it, kids. Keep your stick on the ice and don't swing the high ones. We'll talk to you on Tuesday night when Dave's back here. I'll probably be at the Maple Leaf Lounge in Medicine Hat. But thanks for listening, and make sure you talk to everybody about the show.